Hello, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Personal Branding in the Age of AI. My name is Mabel, learning and DEI expert for the APAC region in Globant, and I will be your speaker in the next hour. So, a bit about me. I am based in the Philippines. I've worked with multinational companies for the entirety of my career, 9 years of which I spent in the corporate learning industry. Beyond my job title, I am a learning experience designer. So I combine traditional instructional design frameworks with design thinking to create human centered, meaningful, creative, and fun learning experiences. So, how are you all doing today? Let's see where everyone is right now. Please share the country that you are based in on chat. Let's see where everyone is. We have anyone from India. Okay. Just say hello to everyone. Awesome. All right. So, personal branding isn't really new. Admittedly, I have designed and facilitated personal branding workshops many years ago. Um, but it's especially important now in the age of AI. And that's basically what we're here to talk about. So I have another question for all of you. Can you name one person who comes to your mind when we talk about information technology? Name, think of name someone, share it on chat. Who do you immediately think of when we talk about the IT industry? Who do you immediately think of when we say information technology? Who comes to mind? Oh, yeah, people on Australia. Awesome. Okay. Steve Jobs, yes. Number one, I guess. When it comes to IoT, it's Steve Jobs. Elon Musk, yes, especially especially recently. Yeah. Right. So usually we recall prominent people in the industry based on their accomplishments, right? Yes, Mark Zuckerberg. So people like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. It's usually because we remember their accomplishments, correct? You might even recall them from their creativity, the values they express, the advocacies they promote, sometimes even how they dress. And all of that is personal branding at work. It's been used by freelancers, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and recently online influencers, even if you've been scrolling through TikTok. What a lot of professionals forget is personal branding is for everyone and anyone. That includes you and me. And in this age of technology where we are living in, this period where we are seeing artificial intelligence phasing out or displacing jobs, where we're seeing it creating demands for new capabilities and expertise in various industries, personal branding is a tool that we all should leverage. And how to do just that is what we'll explore in the next hour. So we will start with understanding what personal branding is and what it can do for us. We will then find out why personal branding is especially useful and relevant now. If you don't know how to create a personal brand or if you've done it before, so this is going to be a refresher too, so don't worry. We will go through some simple steps that you can follow to make one for yourself. Lastly, we will look at how artificial intelligence can also help us strengthen our personal brand. Feel free to post your questions on chat anytime throughout the lecture. We will dedicate a few minutes on at the end of the session to go through them. And of course, your insights, please do feel free to share your insights there and continue to say hello to everyone, mentioning your location so we know where you are. All right. So, what is personal branding? So, I'm gonna ask you again what comes to your mind. This time for personal branding, what are the activities or what are the tasks? What have you heard about personal branding? So what comes to mind when you say personal branding for you? So just share it on chat. Yep. What comes to mind when you say personal branding? What's the idea that comes to your mind about personal branding? Yes, know your true value. That's true. So that can be part of your personal branding. Showcasing your achievements. Yes. Advertising your skill sets. Yes. Very true. Hold your own room. Yes. Trust. Establishing trust. That's correct. There's a lot of definitions out there, but in this session, we will define personal branding as a strategic effort to showcase unique expertise, values, and accomplishments, creating and leaving a lasting impression that highlights our distinct value to a target audience or market. So let's break this down a bit to better understand what this means. We all leave impressions in anything that we do. That's just how communication works. We communicate intentionally and unintentionally, and our interactions with people create impressions of us or images of us. So if you ask your friends, your colleagues, your family members, your manager, for example, if you ask them for one word to describe you, they will likely come up with actually more than one. Yeah, because they have their own impressions of who you are based on the interactions you've shared. Now, when something happens unintentionally, it simply means that we have no control over it. Now, let's say you want to be recognized as a creative expert, but your colleagues somehow remember you as more of the analytical expert. But there's nothing bad with being analytical. I don't think too often about that. Um, Definitely nothing wrong with being analytical. But in that example, there's a clear disconnect. There's a difference between how you want to be known for, which in this example is as a creative expert, and what people somehow remember you as, which is a more analytical expert. And this disconnect is what personal branding addresses. Instead of relying on unconscious communication to make our mark, to leave an impression, we deliberately, intentionally communicate who we are, what we can do, and what we have achieved. Its purpose is to build a memorable impression about us that can lead to career opportunities where we can reach the people, the teams, the projects, the organizations that need our expertise. Now, it's important to note that bragging, showing off, and being boastful is not the same as personal branding. When we brag or show off, the intention is to establish that we're above other people, that we're better than anyone or everyone, that we're entitled to something. That's not what personal branding wants to do. A personal brand aligns who we are with what we do, which enables us to be noticed by people, by the teams, the projects, or the organization that we can bring value to. What also makes a brand personal is authenticity. It's natural alignment towards who we are as a professional. Establishing a brand requires consistency over time, and this is something that can only be achieved if our brand comes naturally to us. Pretending to be someone we are not to create a certain impression about ourselves is yet again not personal branding. That's manipulation, and that's bad. Pretending to be someone we are not will eventually take a toll on us over time. Pretensions crack. Who we really are will always come to the surface. And these inconsistencies between what we communicate and how we behave will appear over time. When that happens, it will negatively impact our professional reputation and credibility. And this is why authenticity is crucial in building a personal brand. A brand needs to come naturally to you so that it will be easy for you to consistently demonstrate it and express it. Having a personal brand increases visibility and recognition. It makes it easier for people, like I said repeatedly since we started. It makes it easier for people to recognize what we can do by establishing what makes us unique as a talent or an expert. A personal brand also sets realistic and concrete expectations about our abilities and potentials, and this builds a foundation for trust and credibility. A personal brand can also open doors to better career advancement opportunities. Like I said, again, the goal of personal branding is to find those people, those groups that you can bring value to, and ultimately have them get you on board. Now, another benefit that is often overlooked in personal branding is how it helps us clarify our career path. So, the process of creating a personal brand actually urges us to reflect on the values we bring and the long term goals that we want to achieve. This gives us direction in our career development. So, yes, personal branding has promising benefits, right? But why do you think having a personal brand is especially relevant now in the age of artificial intelligence? Okay. Share your thoughts on chat. Why do you think is it important for us to learn about this now? Of all times, why now? Why in the age of AI? So feel free to share your thoughts on chat. I want to see what you think. Let's see. Why is it important that we learn about personal branding now? Anyone? Any thoughts? Simplicity? Yes. It's needed. Yes, it's needed now. That's right. Competition. Yes. The competition. It's a bit steeper now, right? Yes, AI does improve and automate tasks that could take forever. That's true. Yes. Fast-paced developments in AI technology has led to predictions that impact industries, primarily the workforce. That's why, yes, you're all correct. AI is now a challenger. It's not about it's AI does so well in improving and automating tasks that it's become competition, right? Well, ever since we started developing AI, we've had a number of predictions, primarily in the workforce, how it's going to impact the workforce. We've been aware of how automations can result in job displacements. White collar occupations now are actually white collar occupations with advanced education degrees are now most exposed to artificial intelligence. This puts professionals like accountants, analysts, designers, and developers at risk of being phased out. Okay, don't be too scared. That's just the predictions, right? And by 2027, roughly 14 million jobs globally are predicted to be displaced by AI. We saw manifestations of these predictions last year in the layoffs in IBM and Meta. And in the latest Future of Work report by the World Economic Forum, they noted that 41% of the companies they surveyed will downsize their workforce in favor of AI automations. Now, artificial intelligence isn't going to disappear anytime soon. It will instead continue to evolve and spark changes to various industries and labor landscapes. While it's phasing out jobs, it's also important to note that it's creating new ones in the process. And a lot of us often overlook, amidst the fear of generative technology, is how artificial intelligence is still a tool. It generates something based on the data that it already has access to. It can solve problems that already has solutions. It cannot create something that's it cannot create something from scratch, from nothing, which is something that only human talent can do. This is the edge, the advantage that we as human experts need to capitalize on to remain relevant and in demand in the age of AI. And this is where a personal brand can help us. So, a strong personal brand strengthens our individuality. It lets us stand out by showcasing the unique, valuable human talent that we have. It emphasizes human qualities that cannot be generated by artificial intelligence. One of the downsides of artificial intelligence is the abundance of fake generated content. This increases the demand for truth and authenticity, real experiences, and genuine interactions. A personal brand that is rooted in authenticity promotes relatability and transparency, and this leads to solid professional relationships that no technology can replicate. So, how do we build a personal brand? What do you think are the steps we follow to create a personal brand? Or if you've created a personal brand before, what were the steps that you followed? What were the things that you did to come up with your brand? So share it on chat. So share your thoughts on chat. What are the steps that we should follow to build a personal brand? Any guesses? So we've talked about what personal branding is. So far, based on what we've covered, what do you think are the steps that we can follow to create your personal brand? Create a portfolio, yes. Start with the outcome and work backwards, yes. Showcasing the professional achievement on profiles, yes. That's true. So that's all part of creating your personal brand. That's correct. Showcasing, yes. So there's a lot of steps. If you look online, there's a lot of sequence of steps to follow in creating a personal brand. But we will simplify that process into a three-step cycle that starts with, at least for this session, we'll do it this way. It starts with evaluate, followed by develop, ending with establish. Okay? So, evaluate is about identifying what our personal brand should showcase. So, it usually involves creating a personal value proposition, a statement that highlights what makes us stand out from other talents or other experts like us. So, what you see on the screen, there's actually a template here. That's a basic template that you can follow. But over time, you can change it up into something that's more you, but if you're starting, this is a good template to start with. So, first step is identify who your target audience or market is. Who may benefit the most from your expertise? Who do you create for? Who do you design for? Who do you hope to support? So, as an example, I'll use my own. So, for me, my target audience or market is companies or organizations. The next step is to identify the expertise, the service, or the product that we provide. What output can you confidently and consistently deliver? So, what do you design? What do you create? So, in my case, as a learning experience designer, it's learning solutions and strategies. Lastly, we have on the template, state what makes it unique. What makes your abilities different? What kind of experience do you bring to the table to you deliver to your target audience, your clients or market? What's the quality of the product or service that you provide? So in my case, again, I am passionate about creating human-centered creative experiences that learners can remember fondly. So if I use this template, my personal value proposition will sound like I help organizations by designing learning solutions that are human centered, creative, meaningful, and fun. And if you remember how I introduced myself earlier, that statement might probably um, sound familiar. So you can try that template yourself to start creating your personal brand. Evaluate also urges us to reflect on our career path, particularly the direction that we want to take. So we do this by reviewing how people see us based on the feedback that we receive and the comments and reactions that our work gets. So we then reflect on how we want to be seen. Are these the types of feedback that you want to receive moving forward? Are these the impressions that you want to create or you want to leave behind in the people you work with? If our professional reputation and the image that we have for ourselves aren't aligned, what can we do to bridge that gap? Answering that question will lead us to the second step of creating a personal brand, which is develop. So, this is a step where we gain the confidence that we need to establish our brand. We do this by building relevant and necessary skills, experience, expertise, and networks, which can support the brand that we want to communicate. This is also where we identify and complete training courses, we secure certifications, network in conferences, meet and learn from mentors, or become part of expert groups, or follow experts online to remain up to date with industry trends. This can also mean building your portfolio, which I also saw on chat earlier when I asked you about what tasks or activities are involved in personal branding. So, yes, building your portfolio as creators, as developers, or designers. We complete projects where we practice and showcase our expertise. These activities build our brand credibility and also boosts our confidence, which we need to proceed with the third step, establish, where we actively communicate our brand. This is the marketing part of personal branding. That is also the first thing we think about when we talk about creating a brand. I saw this earlier when I asked you about what steps you think are involved in creating a brand. So a lot of you shared insights that is related to establish your social media accounts, your LinkedIn, your online websites, your portfolios. So establish is the step where we deliberately express our brand in our portfolio, social media accounts, in the projects we work on, and in our interactions with people. So for example, um, one way of establishing a brand is including your personal value proposition statements on your LinkedIn profile. So the description or the about section on your LinkedIn profile. You can also include it on your personal websites or your portfolio page. Another example is when you are asked to introduce yourself during, say, a consultation or an interview, or even like what I did earlier when I introduced myself. You don't just share your name, your job title, or your job experience. You can also share and highlight your personal value proposition. And that's another way to communicate your brand. Establish is also where we consistently demonstrate our brand. So, for example, if our brand involves being a creative thinker, we proactively speak up in brainstorming sessions and share our out of the box insights. If our brand includes being an advocate of a movement, and we make social media posts about our advocacies. Now I'm gonna go back to Steve Jobs, because a lot of you responded to Steve Jobs, shared Steve Jobs' name earlier when we started the session. Steve Jobs has this trademark attire, the black turtleneck and denim pants. Remember? That set of clothes that he always wears when he does iPhone launches and product presentations, it expresses a sense of simplicity and professionalism. Now, I'm not saying we should all dress like Steve Jobs, although I am wearing a turtleneck that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to say here. But the lesson in this example is that we have to dress up in the way that we want to be recognized as or seen. So in Establish, we don't just focus on our online presence, we also curate and design our offline presence to demonstrate and express who we are. Now, for many, this is where personal branding can be tricky. We all have personal and professional identities, right? The person we are with our families and friends aren't always the same with who we are as professionals. While being candid certainly makes us relatable and great to be with, too much can negatively impact the professional brand that we want for ourselves. So another example, social media posts. Social media posts expressing personal views are often made in the spur of the moment or at the height of our emotions. It's usually to react to a news that happened, to react to someone else's opinion. And this means this since it's emotionally charged, this often means that it's published without considering possible consequences. And in a time where cancel culture is prevalent, how we express ourselves online can make or break our professional opportunities. So, yes, so one way to avoid it is to think before you click. But more than that, if you want to have a personal brand, consider this recommendation that we keep our personal social media accounts separate from our professional one. But of course, if you think your political views or religious views or values on social media is part of your personal brand, then by all means, go ahead, post it. That's fine. But if you want a different route for your personal brand, you want it to be separate, then yes, keep two different accounts, one for your personal account and one for your professional account. Now, I mentioned that this process of creating a personal brand, creating a personal brand is a three-step cycle. Why is that? That's because our personal brand should be open to adjustments, refinements, or if necessary, a complete overhaul. Reviewing our personal brand lets us adapt to emerging trends and changing demands. Like we mentioned earlier, AI is phasing out jobs. It's displacing labor workforce. At the same time, it's also creating new opportunities. So those changes are things that we also need to adjust to. Reviewing our personal brand on a regular basis lets us remain relevant, even when industries shift and opportunities evolve. Personal brands are recommended that it's reviewed every 6 to 12 months. So um, once or twice a year. If you are part of an organization, so this makes performance evaluations a good opportunity to revisit the brand you've established so far in your company. Align your brand with new goals, identify how you can develop relevant credentials, and determine how you can establish your new or revised brand for the year. We already established how AI has changed the landscape for a wide range of industries. Now, the same actually applies to how we engage in personal branding activities. So, we're going to go step by step to see how we can actually leverage AI in building our personal brands. So starting with evaluate, in the evaluate step, generative AI like such as ChatGPT can be used to explore ideas on how we can present our personal value propositions in engaging and memorable ways. So if you think that template I shared is too long, so you can definitely use ChatGPT to phrase it in a simpler but intriguing or still very much interesting statement. Artificial intelligence can also be used to analyze and determine where we are and where we can be. So this is on the feedback side. So analytics. It can also suggest strategies that we can use to develop a strong personal brand. So in Globant, for example, we have a platform called Star Me Up. So it gives us comprehensive insights, analytics on our performance and professional reputation based on the evaluations, the feedback, and the recognition that we receive. Platforms like that can be helpful in the evaluate step. It makes it easier for us to reflect on where we are and where we want to be. Now, under the develop step, AI-powered tools like Google Alerts and Particle can monitor news, updates, and blogs about topics of interests. So this is helpful if our goal is to keep up with emerging trends in the industry, any new technology coming up, any new articles, new resources. AI-driven platforms that offer personalization features will also be helpful in building brand relevant skills and expertise. The same goes with adaptive learning solutions. So when we say adaptive learning, it basically creates recommendations, training recommendations based on what we already know and where we want to go. In Globant, we have Globant University and Globant Campus, which we call the Netflix of learning. So it recommends courses based on job roles, expertise, and user activity. It also has learning paths, which contains courses that are curated based on job role, level of expertise, topics, and more. Now, another challenge with Develop is having the time to actually upskill, to complete courses, to complete those certifications, to read those articles. AI tools can also be used to transform those resources into more digestible formats, which we can consume anytime, anywhere. So, for example, instead of spending hours to read a book or a lengthy article just to build your knowledge, we can actually convert those resources into summaries or audio clips that we can listen to anytime. An example of platforms that can do this are Google's Notebook LLM, Quillbot, and Speechify. Now, when it comes to the established step, yes, we also have AI-powered tools that can help us here. So, examples are Canva, Wix, and Framer AI. So they can generate design ideas that can reflect your brand on your online portfolios, your websites, or social media platforms. So if you're stuck on what your portfolio should look like or what your websites might look like, you can go to them for some ideas. And to reinforce your online brand presence, AI tools like Copy AI, Canva Magic Write, and Writer can help generate engaging social media posts, captions, and content ideas. Now, this is all great. AI, of course, helps us do a lot of things, right? From helping us establish what our personal brand can be to what we can do to communicate it. But there is a catch that I want you to remember. The heart of a personal brand is authenticity. So any strategy, any design, any idea, or any content that you use for to communicate your brand should express your voice and your identity. Any content that you receive from AI tools are just AI. It's not ultimately your voice or your identity, not yet. So you need to make sure that whatever you get from AI, you review it and you make sure that it echoes who you are as a professional or it's aligned with your personal brand before you share it with the world. Otherwise, it's not going to be your personal brand. It's AI as a brand. So we covered a lot of things today. We started with what personal branding is, how it is especially relevant in this age of AI. We also talked about how to build our brand following a three-step cycle. Do you still remember the three steps that we talked about? Share it on chat. What were the three steps that we can follow to build a personal brand? Maybe do you remember? So share it on chat. So what are the three steps that we talked about? The three-step cycle to creating a personal brand. Evaluate, develop, establish. Yes, perfect. Great job. All right. And then, of course, the last topic we covered is about how we can leverage AI technologies to strengthen your brand. So I now open the floor for any questions that you have. Do you have any clarifications about the topics we covered? Anything you would like to learn about? Any questions? Any questions for me? So just share it on chat. Any questions? Is everything clear? Everything good? Ah, we have one. How do I choose my platform? That's a good question. So, platform, is it in terms of where you're going to publish your personal brand, or is it more on the AI tools? So, how do I choose my platform? So, if the goal is of choosing the platform is more to communicate your brand, so professionally, it's usually LinkedIn. For more personal, it's usually Facebook. If we're talking about AI tools, first things you need to, of course, check is the cost, if it's free. So one thing, and then of course there's data security that you need to think about. And then the features that you want, the features that we need when it comes to AI tools. So where should we focus while learning AI tools? Well, for one, I think it's important that we understand what artificial intelligence is. Why is it still a machine? How is it able to do the things that it's doing right now? A lot of the reasons why we're apprehensive around artificial intelligence is that we don't really understand what it is and how it works. So that's one thing I personally I recommend we focus on when learning AI tools. The next one is more on the grounds of generative engineering. What can we do to get the results that we want from artificial intelligence? So for ChatGPT, for example, it's not perfect, although it does answer questions. The outputs, the results it provides is still based on how well you craft your prompts. So it's another focus that I think is going to be important when we're learning about AI tools. How broad or narrow do we strive to make our definition statement? Um, at least from my experience, it it really depends on who you are targeting. So if you look at brands, personal brand examples online, they don't go through that template that I shared. So usually some of them just say I'm the wizard of Notion, or I make AI easier for people. So it can be as simple as that, and then you can use the rest of your portfolio to explain the value that you share. The goal of the statement is just to summarize or introduce what you can do, your expertise, your values. It's not meant to like uh, summarize. I guess it's not meant to like explain everything point by point. It's just to give people an overview of who you are and why they should look at you for a specific set of expertise or needs. Maintaining current online portfolio can be challenging for some professionals. I agree. Is a website-based portfolio truly essential? Yes. I guess it will depend on. I believe in the IT industry, it's definitely useful. Even in my field in learning, there are companies who require portfolio samples of work. So my advice would be based on the industry, based on what's uh, in demand in the industry that you are in. Um, it is a safe option to have a website-based portfolio because it's going to be easier to share. There's also ways to maintain it better. Um, that ultimately check the trends in your industry. Are companies more looking for portfolios now, or are they more into what your experience or expertise so far? Any more questions? I hope that helped, by the way. I personally keep a website-based portfolio so I can easily share it with anyone who wants to check it out. Any more questions? All right. Thank you all so much for sharing your insights. Before I officially end this session, I would like to leave you with this quote from the godmother of artificial intelligence, Fei Li. Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for human intelligence. It is a tool to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. This means that while our goal in personal branding is to highlight our human edge, that doesn't mean we completely compete against AI or we insist on not using AI. We should instead learn to use it, learn how to use it to develop our abilities, to showcase our abilities, and get it to the next level. That way, we can continue to be relevant as artificial intelligence continues to change our world. So I hope you enjoyed this session as much as I did. If you want to learn more about how you can remain relevant in today's world, or how you can effectively pursue your professional development in the IT industry, check out the rest of the online sessions that we have in Globant's Career Week. We all look forward to having you there. So thank you everyone for joining me here. Good luck on your personal branding journey and have a great day ahead. Bye.